At the start of a project, everything is possible. The horizons are wide, infinite. And then you realize you don't have an infinity of space. You have a small section of a table, and a jar, and some AeroGarden nutrition. And that is where you really start. Your mind is thinking space. Your means are thinking, nope, let's make do with something less. And so you need to learn. Of course, YouTube is a great place to learn, and that is where I went first and foremost and found the original source of the Kratky, some videos by Mr. Kratky himself, and he was very cool about teaching all the intricacy methods of what was really a simple process. And so I saw my windowsill as something of a Kratky experimental garden. Simple jars, simple plants, with a very simple space, very low maintenance. How can I do this as simple as possible, least amount of space? And it worked. For about a month or two, I was happy growing onions and stuff and little things. And then YouTube, I started watching guys like Cujo, who have a huge space and growing amazing things hydroponically. And then that led to Epic Gardening, who did some hydroponic, but more not hydroponic stuff. And again, his space, not as big as Cujo's, still pretty big and rambling. So then I tried to discover the YouTubers who were talking about keeping it simpler, smaller. And Mike Van Duze is amazing for that. He showed me how to put stuff everywhere. And then I found AeroGarden Experiments, who showed me particularly how to use the AeroGarden machines and their clones to grow. Now, from all that came this, and this is over months of time. It's about 5 or 6 months of work that I distilled all of that knowledge and learning into this. But there's still so much more to learn. Two of the things I need to learn much better than I do now are nutrition and seeds. Nutrition I've been keeping pretty simple to AeroGarden nutrients and the AeroGarden type nutrients that come with some of the AeroGarden clones I've gotten. I'm not a big fan of the part A, part B solids that you have to liquefy. I have just recently started getting the 3-part grow stuff, and I've had some success with that. But again, I am so new to the game, only having done this for a few months, that I'm still experimenting. Now, I see a lot of folks out there, both on Mastodon and on YouTube, trying different formulations of stuff and different condensations of stuff. What is the proper feeding, how to not get tip burn, things like that. As a new person, it totally baffles me. But again, it's something that you can learn over time, and I think with enough experimentation and watching the resources around you, you pick up on, and then you move on. Next stop, stuff. There tends to be a lot of stuff when you pick up a new interest, and hydroponics has not been any different. I have, in the last couple of months, amassed rock wool and net cups and sprouting jar lids and seed harvesters, seed incubators, and I've gotten myself EC meters and pH meters and all manner of support and structure for the plants. Now, it is very helpful that there is a 3D printing community, and a lot of the stuff that I would be totally unknowing about, I've seen 3D prints for. Things like trellises and supports and different holders for sprouting. Massively helpful. But again, there is just so much stuff involved in the interest that at first you're kind of wallowing in an Amazon shopping cart full of bits and pieces you think might be useful, and over time you find use for things. Sprouting trays was another thing that baffled me at first. I played around with a couple different types. In fact, I tried sprouting stuff just in the incubation containers with the lid on top, and I had mixed results. The smaller rectangular octagonal ones that I have here were much better, but it was the big green ones with the silicone mat that I found to be the most useful and having the best yields for seeds. Using that, I figured out how to buy in bulk and not in single for seed prices, which was a very big help. Once again, seeds was baffling at first, but over time and with some experimentation, finding the right seeds in the right quantity makes a big, big difference. Water was something that I took for granted at first and just used tap water. Over time, I realized my tap water in the city I live is garbage, so I started getting bottled water. I don't like buying bottled water, but for really good plant growth, it is kind of essential where I am living. Next up is all the bits and pieces you just happen to collect. If you're getting a lot of AeroGarden clones or AeroGardens, a plethora of net cups and sponges and solutions and stuff. And again, it all takes up space. And again, space is the thing that is driving me, since I am very much contained by the space I live in. It's the same for a lot of interests and projects we get into. It sounds great. We get into it, we have big, wide, starry eyes, and then we realize we have to fit it all in the corner of the kitchen. Everything from the accoutrements and side things and printer stuff and possible grow light extensions, all the way down to the 5-gallon buckets we hope to make into new space buckets. So all the AeroGardens we seem to be collecting, and by osmosis they are growing, to the grow tents that we never thought we would own, and yet somehow we do. And this is currently what the basil looks like. Get some yellow tip on this big plant. Not quite sure what's up with that, but again, not really sure. Still learning. So if anything in this episode, I just wanted to give you guys, once again, a little starting off point for where things are starting from and where I'm coming from. I don't have a lot of space, but what I do have, I'm trying to make the most of. And if you guys have any suggestions, please, in the comments below, or over on Mastodon. Those are the best places to get a hold of me. I know there are other places on the internet. I am not there, mostly. I am there. And again, thanks for visiting. And next week, we're going to actually start getting into the meat and potatoes of stuff. I think next week I'm going to start looking deeper into the Kratky method itself. Maybe dive into some of the science behind it. I am not sure. I'm going to try to keep these on a weekly basis. I cannot promise you it's going to be weekly, but I'm going to try to promise it's going to be weekly. Until then, my friends, keep growing, keep experimenting, keep posting. Let's let each other know what we're working on, so that together we can go to brave new places and eat amazing new things.